Yo.
What up, what up?
What up, though, man? Woo.
Episode 69.
Bro, my immature ass been waiting to say this shit.
Oh, man. It is not the episode that I thought it would be.
No, not at all, man. Obviously, with a little hiatus here, but...
yeah, absolutely, man. Been out for 2 weeks, man. This episode comes with a little bit of a heavy heart. But before we get into that, welcome back, everybody. Episode 69 of The Carbon Footprint. He is Juan, and I'm Sean. And every week we get together, have a few drinks, and talk about things going on in the world, try to focus on things that are making an impact, whether they be good, bad, or otherwise. What is on the menu for today?
Woo, yo, we kept it simple today, man.
Very simple.
Just real simple, just straight bourbon and ice or whiskey and ice. So we started with this, the Rabbit Hole, which is kind of becoming one of my favorites, man. This Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey. I know we've had it on here before.
Yep.
And I think we had it straight also. But yeah, man, this Rabbit Hole Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey is awesome. If you guys haven't tried it, it's really, really good. Just straight on the rocks. And then the Macallan 12 year, which is, I mean, a lot of people who drink any kind of scotch or whatever, the Macallan's probably the like baseline for a lot of people of where they start as far as like good scotches go. And yeah, I mean, we basic today, man.
Yeah, we real
sip.
basic today.
We just want to
right.
sip and talk and unload. It's been a while, and you said, man, we had a lot of stuff going on. So
absolutely, man. So, like I said, for those of you who are listeners to the show, we've been out for 2 weeks. My father passed, Mr. Herbert Shepherd, so I'm gonna give him Carbon Footprint of the Week. This dude, man, I mean, I can't say enough about this guy. He was a son, a brother, a father, served in the Korean War. The guy was a musician. He played the saxophone. He was a business owner with some friends of his. Did X-ray tech. He was an X-ray technician for most of his career, where he served as a supervisor, almost like right off the bat. Wow. It was funny, man. He went through X-ray school, and then when he got his first job, like they needed like a supervisor, and they offered him the job, and he was like, "Nah, man. Like I'm new. Like who? Like who am I?
Here,
yeah, I just got here." And then one of his mentors told him, "Yo, if you don't take the job, they'll never offer it to you again." And so the guy, like almost like from school, just like jumps into the sort of management and rides that out through his career.
That's the infamous, bro, say yes and learn how to figure it out
and
later.
Figure it out.
Yeah, is that the Richard Branson? Yeah, you say yes and then you figure it out later.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, man. So did that, and then kind of the tale of two lives for this guy, man. Like had married initially, had a couple of kids, and then essentially like halfway through his life, man, like remarried, and had his sort of like second half of his life. But obviously meant so much to me. Father figure from day one for me, and man, like I don't even know what else to say, man. Like this dude was just like, other than obviously father figure, but friend, like cheerleader, hype man, never, guy never laid a hand on me. I think I can only remember him ever getting mad at me, or not even mad at me. He was frustrated with me once in my entire life, bro. Once. It was one of those dudes that just like never got too high, never got too low, and was the dude that people would go to if they had an issue, maybe they needed a problem solved. Like that was the dude, because he just was always like, he would just look at a situation and then just go, okay, this is what's going on. How do we either fix it or make it sort of better, right? Do we have to throw time at it? Do we have to throw money at it? Do we have to do both? Do we just have to suck it up and just deal with it? Like all of that. I never seen the guy rattled.
He's like, everything has a solution.
Yeah.
He was one of those, like, what is it? Yeah, wow.
Yeah, man. So
you're, dude, and you're very much like that, man. Because I tell people all the time, like, you're one of the most disciplined people. I tell you that all the time. You're one of the most disciplined people I've ever met in my life. And then I call you all the time to talk me off the ledge, because I'm like, I'm emotionful, but like emotionless about certain things. But then I also kind of wear my heart on my sleeve about a lot of things. So I know when I'm like off the rocker, I go like, fucking, I gotta call Sean because Sean's gonna fucking reel me back in. And I know that's something that, like in your stories about him, it's something that definitely comes through. Where you just go, you definitely, whether that's nature, nurture, whatever it is, man, you definitely come through like that same kind of mentality for sure.
Yeah, man. And you know what's funny is so he passed about a week and a half ago, and man, I just feel like he's not really gone because I carry so much of him inside me, right? So for me, it's just like, and I think that like I'm not a religious guy, right? I don't know if there's a heaven or hell and all of that, right? So for me, like there's really like no proof of that, so I just don't even think about it. But I do think that that's how we sort of live forever, right? Like he passes on not only his genes, right, but also not in DNA, but the way that he was and his mentality and his teachings and all of that. Like that's how you live forever, man. Because those are things that I'm gonna pass on to my kids, and so that's how. So for me, he's not while he's not here anymore. Like he's just never gone.
No, bro, dude. It's funny you said it, man, because like Maya Angelou has this quote that said, I'm gonna paraphrase, but it's something like, "You'll never know what your legacy is because legacy lives on in the people you touch."
Right.
And like to your point there, dude. I
love that,
dude. There's shit that I've learned through your stories about him.
Yeah.
Or on this show, we've quoted him and we've had some funny things and we've had some life experience things and we've had, it all. And we joke all the time, like, man, we got to put that saying on a shirt or we got to put and I just think about that stuff and I go, that stuff you're going to pass on to your kids. I'm probably going to tell that story to my kids or this. And you just go, he's going to, obviously impactful with you, but because you're passing those stories along. And I'm sure everybody else he's ever come in contact with in some little way, man, they're going to go like, I used to know this guy who always said this or what, and that. Like you said, man, that stuff just lives on forever. It never goes away. Because every time you say that, I know for us, there's some quotes we're going to use forever.
Forever, bro.
There's some quotes that you and I use that we're going to use forever, and they're directly from him. Right? Yeah, so, and they said, I obviously, it's funny, man, when you told me I'd never met him. I may have met him the one time, I think, Quigley. Right. But obviously never spent time with him. But I felt like I knew him, right? Just based on the stories that you've told me and stuff over the years, man. And I remember being choked up like that. And I was like, man, like, how can someone that I never met, right? I wasn't close. Like, why am I getting emotional about something like that? And obviously part of it is like our friendship. But then the other part was like, I felt like I knew him because of you. Because of how he lived on in you, man. And yeah, I think if anything, for you or your family, if you can take solace, and he definitely has this legacy, I think that you guys are carrying forward for sure, man.
And, oh, man, I kind of lost my train of thought. Sorry. I was going to say, no, it's good. Let me say this, man. So, what I was going to say was my cousin came down to sort of just be with the family for just directly right after it happened. And she said something, man, and I'm like, wow, man, it's so true. She goes, kind of to go along with what I said earlier about him I can only remember him being frustrated with me one time in my entire life. And even that he handled really well. She was like, yo, I've never seen a dude mad. She was like, whenever I would see him, he was always like the even keel guy. He was always happy to see me. He always greeted me the same way. Like I never walked in and said, ooh, like, let me stay away from him today because he's like in a bad mood. She's like, he's never that.
Never that. Wow.
He was never that. And I thought about it and I go, man, fuck, like that's so true. Like I've never so you could say like maybe he put on a show when I was a kid, but then once I'm an adult, right? No, dude, even as an adult, like I never walked into my parents' house and then he was like in a bad mood and I had to like talk to him. Never, bro. Wow. Not friggin' one time, man.
I can't even say that about myself.
No,
I
hell no,
can't say
man.
That about, my kids have definitely seen me too high and too low.
Yes,
you know what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah.
Same here, bro.
Yeah.
So one thing that I did want to bring up, man, and you say this all the time. It's something that always sticks with me. I've heard it before, but you always drill this into my head, which is give people flowers while they're here. And so today, man, I want to give you your flowers, bro.
Me.
because we started this podcast, and we've always said from day one that we're not like, we don't even know what it's gonna be, and it doesn't really matter what it is. But because of you buying these mics, allowed me to find out 3 months before he passed that was my real father.
I never really thought of it that way,
bro.
But
and it's so, and I went back, man, and I started thinking about, and this is just me, I always want to go down the rabbit hole, and you think about stuff, man, and you go, think about all the shit that had to happen in order for me to find out, right? It's like you and I had to work in the same place. Like, I had to meet you, and I know the story of how you got to the place where I was working, and how unlikely it was for you to get that job.
Yeah.
And it even goes back to who your wife.
People I knew, yeah.
Right?
People my wife knew. Yeah.
It's who your wife knew,
Yeah.
right? So you get with that person, and then you end up at getting this job that you probably shouldn't have had based on your qualifications.
Definitely not.
And then 14 years later, bro, is when, because of our friendship and because of what we started, these stories come up and then lead to me finding out something 3 months before his death, bro. It's mind blowing,
and we've had that conversation off air, sort of like, obviously the stories and stuff that led to it, but I never really thought about it that layered.
Deep.
Yeah, that deep, man. That's wow.
Yeah, it's nuts, man. So today, bro, I'm giving you your flowers, bro, and I know it was not intentional. I know that
Absolutely
this is not intentional. I
taking
know,
credit
right?
for that.
It's not intentional, but I also want the listeners to know, man, that's like, sometimes when shit happens, we'll look at it and we'll go, oh, that's a bad situation, or this is, or it doesn't mean anything. And I just want to say, man, just always trust where you are in life, and trust that something's good is going to come out of even bad situations. It's like, you just never know. And sometimes it's going to be, even after we pass, there may be something that comes out good out of a bad situation, out of a good situation, out of things that maybe shouldn't have fell into place, or maybe things that society don't think that should have taken place. It's just like, we all, I believe, man, like we all are where we are supposed to be at the moment.
That's so true, man. You said none of us are religious per se, right? But I do have this belief that, like, we are where we're supposed to be, and a series of choices, right, that we make, whether intentional or unintentional. And then, like, I don't know, man, even talking about this, like, I always felt like this push there, and I just wouldn't let it go. Man, we would talk about it all the time.
Dude,
I couldn't let it go, dude.
Man.
Yeah, and it was something that I always kind of circled back to. It certainly wasn't, obviously, we didn't think like, oh, this was going to come out of it. I just thought, man, it's my buddy. We have a good time. I learned a lot from you. And when we talk, shit's hilarious and insightful and emotional and whatever. Like, it was like, that's got to be good for something. Like,
right.
Try it out. And, you said, man, sometimes, dude, if you guys get guts, just go with it. Because obviously this shit was not intentional. And we've had a lot of stuff come. I mean, nothing as big as that. I don't think anything nowhere near as big as that will ever come from. But, yeah, I mean,
but like I said, who knows, right?
Who
knows, bro? Yeah. Who knows? So, shout out to my father, Herbert Shepherd. May you rest in peace and in paradise, if there's such a thing. And you will be missed, but definitely not forgotten. And your legacy and your teachings and all of that live through me, live through your grandchildren. And really everybody's lives that you touched throughout.
Live through your son's random friend, bro. Too. Toast to Shep, man.
Toast. Hey, man. Good thing he didn't die from COVID.
Yo. I didn't want to say it like that. Dude, and you know what's funny is I thought about that when you at first told me he was sick.
Goddamn COVID.
Crossed my
he
mind.
Got the Delta variant.
Yeah. I was like, no, not the vid, Sean, the vid.
He got that 1-9.
He got the 1-9. I never thought.
No, so it's just for everybody's the clarity. The guy lived a month short of 92 years. And it was not from COVID. So
Dude,
let's just put that out there.
He's so long, and not to go back on it, but you said he lived 2 lives. I just on the stories you told me, and even earlier, we look at some photos and stuff, and I'm going, this dude lived. Like my first thought was like, man, this guy lived so many lives, right? Because I was thinking of like what you were saying, like first marriage, second marriage, obviously the different dynamics that come with that. But then I'm looking at like the military service, and I'm looking at you think about the careers and all this stuff, and it made me think of like there's so many times in life where I think we're all guilty of feeling like I don't want to say running out of time, but maybe like, oh, I wasted this time, or like it's too late for me to do X or Y or Z. And then you show me that and I'm like, fuck, this dude lived so many lives, right? Like so many different layers of stuff where you go, the guy in those photos in the military didn't think he was going to be the guy he was probably a decade later. That guy didn't think he was going to be who he was and where he was 20 years later. And
right.
And completely different scenarios, man. It's, yeah, man. It just reminds you, man, that life is short, but also long in the sense that it's a lot of opportunity, a lot of different phases that you go through, and you get a chance to do stuff, man.
Yeah, man. I really thought about that too, man. The fact that, like you said, like life is long. Yeah, I know you said it's short, but I could go like 92 years is long, but but it goes by fast. Mm-hmm. So don't waste your time. No, man. Like, do it. Go do your shit.
Go do it. But yeah, you say he lived a long life. It wasn't an unexpected, I guess, so to speak, death. I guess that's why we're kind of allowed to be a little more humorous about it at times. But yeah, at least being COVID, because that it's getting wild, man, out there.
Yeah, but did you see Joe Rogan?
Yeah.
So Joe Rogan goes on Instagram, right? And what does he say? He's like, "Oh, I got COVID, and I'm throwing the kitchen sink at it," some shit like that, right? What did he say? Yeah, that's what he said.
Yeah, I'm throwing the kitchen sink at it, and then he names off.
And he names off the stuff. So he's like, he's doing the monoclonal antibodies, which actually has been shown to be very successful in people. He mentions the ivermectin, which is like super controversial.
Yes,
it's a or a dewormer for horses
in extreme dosage,
right?
Yes.
Is that what it is? It's like a dewormer
for horses, but it's a human drug.
But they said it's good for like topical uses. It's not for ingestion for humans.
No,
that's what I read.
Its original use wasn't, but. And actually, go finish. I'll get into it because that's gonna take me down a different rabbit hole.
That's cool. That's cool. So he did prednisone, which is a steroid.
It's a steroid, yeah.
Actually, funny story on that one, man. My father told me that he had surgery one time many years ago, and they gave him prednisone. And when he took that, he was like, "Yo, I was getting up every morning. I'm doing push-ups."
Right out of the blue.
So at this rate, he's probably like in his like mid-50s. And he was never really like a big workout guy, right? But he was like, "Oh my God, get up in the morning, like I'm just doing push-ups." He's like, "I feel great." So once the whole shit was over, the doctor was like, okay, so like they weaned him off. They had him on like 5 milligrams. Then they put him down to like 2.5 milligrams. And then when the doctor wanted to take him off, he was like, "Doc, no, man." Not for nothing, man. Like 20 years later, he showed me he still had a couple pills of the prednisone that he saved for a rainy day. He's like, "That shit probably doesn't work anymore, but I just saved it." He said that was so damn good.
I've taken that shit before, man.
Yeah?
I had a
make you feel like a new man?
Dude, it made me feel alive. When I was in middle school, dude, I had a random asthma attack. I never had asthma in my life. And I had a full blown, I can't breathe, can't catch my breath, like fucking this, and
wow.
Go to school nurse, whatever. They end up taking me to the doctor. I'm catching breaths just enough in these short dosages that like obviously not passing out, right? But I get to the doctor, bro. They give me that, and then whatever else in like inhaler. But when they gave me that shit, bro, I was like, woo! Dude, I remember that feeling vividly, bro. And I might have been 12 years old, 11 years old, something like that. And it was like this shot of just, it felt like someone pumped oxygen into my lungs.
Really? Was it like a shot? I'm assuming it was a shot if it hit you
was-
that quickly, right?
I think it was, man, because because I was struggling so much to catch my breath. I just remember that name, and then I remember going home and they gave me like an inhaler. I can't remember what the inhaler shit was called, but it was like a rescue inhaler essentially at the side. And then it was another steroid that was like, take this for the next few days to open up your passageways, and you might have asthma. I've never had an episode since, bro, but I had those, and I do remember taking that. And every time I would take the little pump thing, it was like, and then your heart rate levels would just shoot up, and you were
but your lungs open up.
yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Hype, dude. So I believe him.
So he took that, and then he said he also polished it off with a Z-Pack.
Joe took everything, bro.
So yeah, he took everything, and so he does his Instagram post, and then, bro, the media immediately jumps all over him, man, and it's like, oh, you have a responsibility because you have so many followers, and I'm like, man, can you not be a sort of successful media person, and then like does that carry responsibility, man? Like, I say no.
I don't think so.
But I don't like, why does society think that because you're a media person that you need to sort of like be righteous and you need to kind of go, and then which side do you go on, right? Because you have
Who's
people,
right?
Right, who's right? Listen,
Is it the masses? Are you supposed to just go where the masses go?
yeah, and that's the thing. I mean, I say no, but it's like the ivermectin thing. I did some research on that, and like in the medical field, it's not proven to fight anything COVID related.
No, it's used for something else in the medical
Right.
field. Yeah.
So the doctors are like, yeah, like it's not for that. But I was like, and my cousin and I had this discussion. If I saw you and you were feeling like shit, and then you go, oh, my neighbor gave me some ivermectin, I took it, and this morning I feel amazing, or I feel, 10 times better, whatever. Like, I know you and I believe you. So who's to say that's wrong?
Yeah. The problem I had, dude, with the and I wanted to verify something because that's all right. I don't know if you. So I listened to snippets of Joe Rogan. I haven't heard him since he's been back on air. I did end up. I went to his show that Saturday. I think he got sick that Sunday on his way back. And selfish me was like, "Oh, thank God, I got to see him Saturday." But
so that was a live show.
That was a live show. Yeah. So he did his tour of Florida. So he definitely got that shit in Florida. And they were making fun of it the whole time. Him and the guys who opened for him and stuff were making fun of Florida doesn't give a fuck about COVID and yada yada. So I thought it was kind of fitting that he got it here and survived. But yeah, dude, he talked on his show with Tom Segura. So he came on, I heard the clip, and the clip was like, Joe goes, yo, do I have to sue CNN now? And then Tom's like, why? He goes like, because the headline is like, Joe Rogan takes horse dewormer for COVID or some shit like that. And he goes, while that's like true, it's also not. He goes like, ivermectin is a horse dewormer in dosages like far greater than what he took. It's also prescribed to humans for, maybe it wasn't COVID, but it is a drug that he got from a doctor that prescribed it to him for human use. Dude, ivermectin has actually won a Nobel Peace Prize 6 years ago for its use in humans.
Really?
So it was one of those things
but
where he goes,
that doesn't come out.
It doesn't come out.
That's not, at least in mainstream media.
And that was his point, was he goes like, yo, the headline is Joe Rogan takes horse dewormer. It's like, yeah, but it's a human drug too. Like, it is a horse dewormer in like an obscene amount of dosage or whatever. Obviously there would be that. And he goes, but I got this from my doctor. Like, he wrote it for me. And he goes like, and so it's misleading. And then they don't bother to correct it. They tell the story. And I'm like, man, going back to what you were saying before, like, what's the responsibility? To me, I look at a Joe Rogan, I look at these guys, and I think we go, well, they have a massive following, so they have a responsibility to spread what's right? Which who's the I guess who dictates what's right? I think absolutely, like a CNN or a Fox or whoever, it is their responsibility to absolutely give us the news in a non-slanted format. And
which
that
doesn't happen.
Which doesn't happen. And you go, and I know we're in this clickbait society, and no one would click that article if it said Joe Rogan takes ivermectin. You has to say Joe Rogan took, horse dewormer. But it also makes you think, like, this is why, dude, I avoid for sure Fox or CNN or any of these mass news outlets now. I almost just completely avoid them because I go, I just want to know facts. I just want to know what's going on. I just want to think. I don't want your slant. I don't want the clickbait. I don't want and it's shitty because on the same breath, I'm guilty of clicking shit that's clickbait, right? Like, and
Want to see what's going on?
Yeah, I want to see what's going on. You know, like you say some juicy shit, I'm about. What's up with that? So it's like on the same breath, I'm also like, fuck, I'm also guilty of feeding into that machine.
But you know what? Now, one of the things that he has said on multiple occasions is, and I quote, "I'm a moron.
Yep.
Don't listen to me." Like, right? He'll go like,
Yep.
and even with that, in respect to what, you know, I've taken, you know, he took this, like where he said he threw the kitchen sink at it. I've taken, you know, A, B, C, and D, but like, I'm a moron, right? So like, I'm just trying shit.
I'm trying, dude. He had a great, and I'm not gonna give away the bit. Too much respect for the craft and like kind of like he's working on the special or whatever, but so until it gets released I won't actually say it, but he does have a bit to that point of the I'm a moron that's based around the whole COVID thing and the attention I guess he's gotten around it, and it's so good because it's so bent in truth and also just shows where he's just like, bro, this is how stupid I am kind of thing, you know what I mean?
Right.
And it's true, dude. It's like you have this platform. What you do with that platform I guess does influence a lot of people, right? Joe Rogan is the largest podcast on the planet.
Yep.
Has guests from all walks of life, which is why it's popular, and from all sides of the aisle and all that, which is what I love about it. You know, like we talk about all the time. There's guests on there I've never heard of and end up being some of the best podcasts I've ever heard.
Yep.
But does he have like this responsibility to I guess stick with a certain side, right?
Yeah.
Because like to your point, who's right? Does he have to spill the Fox narrative? Does he have to spill the CNN narrative? Does he have to spill the MSNBC narrative? Like who gets to dictate? Is it the masses? Is it like I just don't know. I think unfortunately there's too many people that are swayed by someone who's in that position of influence, but it's like we're all responsible for ourselves and doing our own research and doing our own. So I don't put that on him.
Yeah, no, absolutely not, bro. So I was just like, man, first of all, leave this guy alone. Just the fact that if he had 10 followers, then no one would be talking about him.
No.
But the fact that
you
he
and
has
I could say crazy shit on here right now about COVID.
Yep.
About whatever.
It'll only pop up if we ever get big.
Yep. 5 years from now, it'll pop up.
You know what they said?
Yep.
Back in 2021, I'd be like, listen, don't quote the shit that I said last week. I got new information.
Yep, exactly. Yeah. So, but dude, he was getting just ripped, man. Yo, you know what's hilarious though? He moved to Texas. You know what's not allowed to reproduce in Texas? Viruses can.
And it doesn't matter how many.
Or at least you have the right to reproduce or not reproduce. Oh,
dude, yeah, did you see this abortion shit in Texas, man?
It's crazy, man.
Okay, so the new shit is you can get fined. Isn't that, you can get fined like 10 grand.
Dude, you can get arrested, right, for carrying it out? Or is it the fine?
Oh, I don't, and this thing is a fine. I think it's like $10,000. So basically, they've abandoned abortions after the heartbeat is detected, which is approximately 6 weeks. But it also allows anyone to file a $10,000 lawsuit against those who help to violate that law, which could include a doctor. It could include family members. It could include Uber and Lyft drivers.
For taking you to...
yeah.
How the fuck do you even...
Dude, I don't know. And it's freaking nuts. So like that Texas Right for Life group, that they put up this website that allowed people to post tips about folks who are possibly violating the law.
And I saw someone's already suing a clinic for carrying one out.
Oh, I bet. So GoDaddy, who was sponsoring the site, they pulled the site.
They pulled the site? Oh.
They pulled it, and they pulled it because they said they were collecting information about individuals without their consent. And I was like, oh, that's pretty good.
Good for them.
That's pretty good. But I just, and we talked about this before, I think on some other subject, but similar. I don't understand how guys get to make decisions for women.
Oh,
old white guys. Yeah, like I mean, let's be clear. Yep. Yeah, let's be clear.
I also this goes back to what we were talking about before. It also just shows the ignorance of politics and where people lean, because the same group that's going, government can't tell me what to do by telling me to wear a mask, is also going, nah, but you got to carry that baby. And I understand that the argument would be like, well, it's a life, and however they choose to justify it, whether they're hiding behind religion or life factors, all that stuff. But then I go, let's take it years later. What if that kid turns out to be gay? What if that kid turns out to be trans? What if that kid turns out to be black or brown or whatever? Like, keep that same energy. Is he pro-life then? Because y'all don't do shit to help him then. Like, it's just, again, the ignorance of that rule, I just don't, I feel like, again, as a guy, any guy shouldn't be making that, and it's always an old white guy that gets to make that decision for a woman. I just don't understand how that's even.
Dude,
a woman would never ever be allowed to make that decision for a guy in this country. If it was a rule about a guy, you got to get
a vasectomy.
A vasectomy. It would never pass in this country.
No,
ever.
And the other thing is like, it's not that women are going like, woohoo, I want to go get an abortion. Like, it's not a fucking nice thing.
That's an emotional, horrible thing to go through.
Right. And so you have to look at that and go, there's got to be a reason, whether it was because of irresponsible sexual activity or not, or it could be rape, right? Whatever it is. They're making the choice to get an abortion for a reason, and I would venture to say that there's probably most women don't want, like that is like a last resort.
Absolutely. And I would and then I would even take it as far as to say is like, it's none of our business. Damn, my dog's going off with the bone. It's the bone. He's throwing it around. Sorry if y'all can hear that. It's also none of our business. Like, to each their own. Like, if you have information at that time that makes you feel good about that decision, dude, because you get so many, man, you think about, we were talking a little bit about this before, the areas that are in poverty, right? It's usually, like whatever socioeconomic situation minorities are in, or like, this is another factor or component to why you end up having people born into poverty or born into situations where maybe they're in the system as foster kids because they're born to a drug addict mother or a mother who couldn't care for them, mother who doesn't want to care for them. Like, there's so many layers to this, and I feel like they're so stuck behind this. Like, I hate this whole, like, hey, separation of church kind of thing too. And then it's like, well, there's like the religious component to this where they don't want to do it. And then there's this is a life, like, all right, why don't we call a sperm a life? Why don't we, for that fucking, hey, if you give a facial, that's fucking, you're killing babies.
You're killing,
like, where do you draw the line?
You're killing cells.
Was it the heartbeat? Right?
It's the heartbeat.
Yeah, so
approximately 6 weeks.
And who made that call?
Yeah.
Like, because where do you, I just always go back to, it's none of my business, man. Like, I feel like if you're a man and a woman and you're in that scenario, you should have to work that out on your own. And even at the end of the day, bro, the woman has to carry it, bro. Like, it's her health that's on the line. And
like you said, as far as like keeping that same energy, it's going, if you're going to force this person to have the baby, and then that person can't support it, and then now, like you said, now it's in the system, and it grows up in poverty, and let's just say it's into, it gets into drugs or drug selling or anything that's sort of not accepted by society. Then what? Then you incarcerate that person that you made be born. You know what I mean?
That you're not pro-life and go like, oh, let's get this guy help. Not pro-life and go, hey, let's pay for this kid's college because he's
when poor. He robs your house or like I said, when he does anything sort of illegal, you look at that person, you go, oh, that's a low life.
Yeah, and pro-life if that kid turns out to be gay and he wants to marry a girl or a guy or whatever, same sex, and then you go, no, I can't do that. You're not pro-life then. Like, what's like, it's just, it's so like, again, in politics is like this in general, which is why it infuriates me. It talks out of both ends of its mouth all the time, and it's infuriating to me to see the people that buy into that and don't see past the facade of like, can you just make a decision based on the facts you have, like, and not party affiliation and just like call the bullshit for what it is. It's bullshit. Because again, these are the same people who are going to go, the government can't force me to take a vaccine. Oh, but it can force you to have a baby. Right. Like and they're pro that. Like, it just doesn't compute, man.
It's really strange. And like you said, keep the same energy. If you're gonna force someone to have the baby, then have programs in place to help.
I would almost respect
that
it more
person.
if they went, hey, you know what? And if you wanted to have an abortion, you go through, we force you, because you go through this program, and we'll you know, whether it's Medicare or food stamps, or we'll set up this kid's college tuition. We'll do this and that. Since we're gonna force you to have it, we're gonna take care of it for you too. Like, because where do you draw this line? And I know people are gonna make these arguments about like whether it's contraception or yada yada yada. That's irrelevant. Like, it has nothing to do with the story. Like, there are guys out there who have 20 kids. We don't go, bro, get a vasectomy and force them to do it, right?
Yep.
I get you should. Probably, I guess, if you're going to make this argument, like, bro, you should probably tuck that shit away or at least be shooting blanks. So, like, I hate, usually with political shit, I can be like, meh, whatever, teach their own, or anything else. This is one of those where I go, I don't feel like I feel like there's only one side. And it's the side of the woman who gets to decide what to do with her body, man. I just don't see why. It's shocking to me that's even a thing. Like, it's crazy, man. It's so weird.
I just don't understand who does it affect? Like, why does it, like, I feel like the folks that are making that decision are not affected by the abortions, and it's strictly a moral compass that they're trying to follow and impose on others.
Yeah. If anything, it does affect them in the sense that how many politicians, bro, I promise you, most of those politicians have paid for an abortion or two. Like, I guarantee.
I never thought about that.
You don't think, as much
That's
shit
true,
as we
bro.
talk here about
Yep.
these politicians touching women and all that stuff, you don't think I'll go out on a limb here and say 30 or 40% of these guys will pay for an abortion? Like, here's $600. Take care of that problem.
Make it go away.
Yeah, I'll see you at the Ritz next Tuesday. It's just, I'm like, yo, this group is so asinine,
it's so true,
because you
bro.
know they're gonna, yeah, bro. And you think the dudes from Texas who end up needing this aren't gonna, yo, head on over to Oklahoma real quick. It's just, yeah. I go, is this that much of an issue that you have to rile up a base around it? I did see, man, I saw companies that are actually willing to pay for their employees to relocate out of Texas.
Oh, so I'm glad you actually brought that up.
I've never seen so many people like kind of like on the same side of this,
Yep.
which is shocking to me that it passed. It's weird because I you know, without a doubt, maybe it's people in Texas were pro it, but I've yet to come across someone who's like, yeah, that shit's a good idea. Like,
So they had, I mentioned the Uber and Lyft drivers, right? Could be brought up on those $10,000 charges. Uber and Lyft said they'll pay for the legal fees. Yeah, bro. What is this? The dating sites Bumble and Match said they will create a relief fund for those affected. And then even, which I was like, man, you guys should probably stay out of it. Even the Satanic Temple. I'm like, no, man, you guys should probably stay out of this one.
yeah, y'all not helping.
You know,
Sit this one out, bro. Sit this one out. I think the ivermectin people need help. Go take care of that.
so these dudes, what they did, so they're based in Salem, Massachusetts, of course. So they lobbied the FDA to provide abortion pills to its Texas members. Get this shit. Citing abortion as one of its religious rituals.
That's so good. Yo, but who are we to argue that it's not?
Right? No, true.
Oh my
but
God.
you just go like, man, okay, we fighting for like a real one here. Y'all go ahead and sit this one out, man. We don't need no help on this
got
one.
it covered, bro. You good?
Which I ain't mad at y'all, man. You want to fucking worship whoever the hell you want, the fucking goat down the street, I don't care. I'm just going, this is a real issue for a lot of people. We should probably not, like, you guys, we holler at y'all later.
Bro, this shit too, man. Like, of all people, the governor of Texas, bro. This homie in the wheelchair, right? This is Formula 2 over there with some fucking. He probably salty because he's like
fucking Meals on Wheels.
He's like, I'm never gonna be able to pay for one of those. If somebody get one, don't nobody want to sit on my lap. It's like, you know how hard it is to sexually harass somebody when you gotta wheel after them? Let alone knock them up.
That's fucked up.
Was it him? I don't even. It's him, right? He's got to be the one who puts.
Is he the governor?
He's the governor. He's the dude in the wheelchair, right? Maybe I'm wrong, bro.
I don't know.
It's Abbott. I
think that is the guy's name, actually.
Before
man.
I keep fucking with him, calling him Formula 2.
Yeah, look at him up. But again, why you look that up, bro? It's like abortions, just like illegal drugs. If there's a market for it, people are gonna do it. So if you make it illegal, then they'll just do it illegally. You know, they'll find illegal clinics. They'll do shit that'll harm themselves, like shove freaking hangers up there. You know what I mean? Like, there's ways to and I'm sure I would hope people are not doing that anymore. But there's ways that you can make a woman's body like sort of a hostile environment for a child to survive, which essentially will abort the child. So there's ways around that shit, man. It's just like, dude, you're never gonna stop it. You're never gonna stop people from using cocaine. You're never gonna stop people from smoking weed. You're never gonna stop people from taking heroin. It's just not gonna happen. So the war on drugs is pointless, and the war on abortion is freaking pointless.
It's not,
like, just stop it.
It's not the hill you want to die on, bro. There's so much more shit that we need to tackle than taking rights away from women or abortion or like. I'm like, bro, there's so much more shit. There's so many socioeconomic situations that you can go get ahead of, and you're making them worse by forcing something like this. But you're also, that aside, again, man, you're also forcing women and couples and whoever to do stuff you don't want to do. Like, dude, by the way, and now I feel like an asshole. Although
Is it not him?
No, he's paralyzed for sure. He's been paralyzed since 1984, and then I just started laughing in my head when it showed how he got paralyzed. So I feel like a bigger dick. He was jogging and a tree fell on him. You know what the?
If that ain't a sign, I don't know what is.
Bro, that's God telling you stop fucking with abortion.
He tried to knock some sense into you. It didn't work.
Oh shit, man. Dude, you said something a second ago about what was it? You just said something, man, that sparked something that I had that I was thinking about. Damn,
I don't
need to
remember.
look up, man. You just said something that I was like, yep, that's so true. Let me see if I'd probably maybe.
That people are gonna do it anyway.
Yo, yes. So people gonna do it anyway. You were talking about the war on drugs. I don't know if you saw a couple weeks ago, and we're a little behind on this, but like a couple weeks ago, there was a group of celebs, comedians, whatever you want to call them, like in LA, that were together at a party, and they decided to do cocaine, and the cocaine was laced with fentanyl, which they didn't know. So they took the cocaine, whatever. 3 of people passed, and like a few others were OD'd in the hospital. One of them was Kate Quigley, who she wound up surviving. Kate Quigley is one of those, if you see her face, you'll recognize her type thing. But it had me thinking, like, dude, does stuff like this make the case for legalizing drugs like cocaine? Because when you take so obviously,
what does fentanyl do?
So fentanyl, I guess it's lethal in very small dosages. Is the problem? Is fentanyl, you can prescribe it. I don't know if it's like a painkiller. But it's very small dosage in the pills. We probably looked that up. When you take fentanyl and cocaine and you ingest it, and in certain amount, like the amount for it to be lethal is not very much.
Okay.
And so these guys are doing.
So if you lace cocaine.
So you lace cocaine, but the problem is that they're saying that even, man, because honestly, if you think about it, a drug dealer doesn't want to lace your cocaine with fentanyl because he needs you to come back, right? Like,
yep.
You know, unless you're a fucking traveling drug dealer, right? But, you know, because there's arguments like, oh, they're doing that to kind of cut corners, to make it cheaper, to do whatever. I go, maybe the supplier is. I don't know that a dealer would knowingly. I'm sure there's some, right? We're not talking about the moral compass of the world here, but
right.
You know, there's obviously some of these guys who don't know, right? Because again, if you have a drug dealer, I need to go back to the same drug dealer. And if you give me some bad shit, guess what I'm not doing, right? This is going back to you. It's not like you can put up an ad and increase business, you know what I'm saying? So
no, it's true.
Like, it got me thinking, like, so these guys unknowingly, dude, this is such a problem that there are actually groups of people, obviously, and amongst powerful groups or people with access or just general people who actually have their own tests at home where they test their cocaine to make sure it doesn't have fentanyl in it, right? And so
wow.
maybe the argument is if you're gonna party so responsibly and test your cocaine. The other part of me goes, fuck it, legalize it. Legalize it. You like. There's something to be said for an establishment that has to sell me something that's gonna be there tomorrow that I can go, bro. The shit you gave me yesterday kind of messed me up, right? Like we have a bad burrito somewhere and we get food poisoning.
Right, we can go back.
We can go back. And you know, like of course the headlines are like all about how bad drugs are, da 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 da. And I was like, no, like use this as the argument for legalizing drugs, like and adding some parameters and some safety measures behind it, and then you go, we know where to go, and you set the rules behind dosages and what it must contain, and
then places that do shit like lacing for or cutting any kind of corners,
You're done.
Eventually that's done, right? They're done. They're not going to stay in business. So fentanyl is it's used to treat patients with severe pain, or to manage pain, but it says that it's a really powerful opioid. It's a synthetic opioid that's similar to morphine, but is 50 to 100 times more potent. That's crazy, bro. Morphine, like 2 shots of morphine will kill you.
It'll kill you. Yeah. So fentanyl is like, dude, to the point where I think it was fentanyl. There was a cop that was handling it and inhaled some, like almost like in powder form. It fucked him up. And luckily, I think the guy had Narcan. I want to say it was fentanyl. A cop who's on the scene pulled up, had Narcan injected, but he would have been dead.
Wow.
And he was able to inject them. I'm pretty sure it was fentanyl, man. But it was like, it's that potent. And so, you know, there's some people who do it and they do a small amount in it because it enhances whatever the hit. But if you overdo that shit, you're toast.
Yeah, good luck.
And so I imagine, people do cocaine aren't trying to die. They're trying to have a good time that night. People do heroin and crack. You might want to argue that. They're a 50-50.
Crack give you a good time for about 5 minutes.
Yeah. But people do cocaine. They're just trying to party, get hype, and keep it moving, right? Like people do cocaine aren't sitting there trying to be fucking laid out for 3 hours. You're trying to do the total opposite. You're trying to be hyped as shit, and then, you know. So I saw that, man, and think about the comment. And it's just like, why not? This stuff to me just proves why you should just legalize shit like this, and it solves so many problems. Like, you know, and I think we're so worried about the downsides that nobody ever bothers to look at what's the upside of doing something like this.
And I think the downside is you know, I think people think that it's gonna sort of, if you legalize, say, cocaine in this case, that everybody's gonna do it. We're gonna have a society full of cocaine addicts, and it's just not true.
It's not. Yeah. There's
a lot of people that, you know, look, listen, there's alcohol for sale, you know, everywhere, right? Throughout the country. We don't have a country of alcoholics.
No, and we can't even agree on that, because if you go to a different state, you can't even get alcohol past 7 o'clock or whatever at night.
Right.
You know, it's just funny. Like, we can't even agree
those
on
dry
that
those dry counties.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dude, the county that makes Jack Daniels is dry.
Is it dry county?
To sell alcohol.
Of course it is.
Yeah.
But you can make it there because it makes the town money.
Right, but you can't consume it.
Yeah.
So if you go on a
how is that even?
Go on a tour of it, you can't even have tastings or something. It's like
how
really
is
weird.
that, bro? Like, how do they even? You know, like that. Like the town makes a decision to allow a company that sells something that they don't allow, but because the company's going to bring jobs, and bring money to the town,
tax locally.
That's okay.
That's okay.
That's so fucked up.
So we can't even agree on alcohol, which alcohol kills how many people annually?
Yeah.
Right? And you go, how much does cocaine kill annually? I guarantee it's far less than alcohol. And maybe it's because it's not legal, but I think if you had dosages of cocaine, like here's a recommended dose for a good time, you know, and I think we would all go, all right, cool.
Or you go, consume this amount by weight.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Right. You just go, for every 100 pounds, here's what you do, whatever. And then I think you can eliminate some of this. And it makes it easier to track. Like, bro, if I go in there and I'm buying cocaine daily, and as the government, if you really care about me, maybe you drop an email to go, hey, man, here's a rehab facility and whatever. Notice you
Amazon will do that.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah.
I mean, like, we done heard a lot of sniffs.
Yeah.
in your house.
Like, based on your purchase history, cocaine, we recommend, and it'll be like, virtual therapy or some shit, or virtual fucking, what is it, Narcotics Anonymous? I don't know what the cocaine one is.
I don't know either.
Yeah, it's just, I'm like.
But you know what's funny, man? Like, throughout my life, I won't say that I've never been curious about cocaine, but I've never taken it. And it's never been something that I go like, oh my God, I gotta try that. Right? Like, so like, for me, even if it was legal, I don't see myself going to the store to buy it.
Being like, I have to have it.
Right.
Yeah.
Because if I wanted it, there's ways to get it. Yeah.
Like, we all know somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody, right? Like,
yeah.
Like, yeah. I'm every time you see one of these, I'm like, yeah, man, it's tragic and it's fucked up. And then I saw like some people like obviously kind of like the whole victim blaming thing that we get into, or like, and there's some personal responsibility stuff there, but I also go, man, these are a group of people, adults, partying, drinking and having a good time. And they go like, oh man, let's get an 8-ball. And in their mind, they're not thinking they're getting some shit that's laced bad. They're thinking they're a group of friends trying to have some fun. You want to argue the ethics behind that or the legalities or whatever, fine. But you could have stepped in and solved that potentially by just making it legal and, setting an infrastructure around that would prevent those types of things from happening, because you're never getting rid of drugs. I'm not really convinced that we want to get rid of drugs. There's too much money to be made from the war on drugs. Bro. Never. There's too much money to be made. There's too many jobs. There's too many, like, everything. I go, it's embedded in our system. I go, and it's like, man, somebody had this great thing once. It's like, it might even be a Chris Rock thing where he's like, what's the difference between a fentanyl, let's use that as an example, and cocaine? Like, the fentanyl is sold by a white guy in a suit, and the cocaine is sold by the brown dude in the corner. Like, and it's just like, there's an element to that in this as well that we don't have time to get into today, but it's like, yeah, the shit on the drugs, when I see that, I'm just like, oh, guys, like, what the fuck are we doing here, man? Like, yeah, let's fuck abortion. Let's work on this, bro. But, dude, and you mentioned Amazon. You seen Amazon trying to legalize pot?
No.
Yeah, dude.
Wait, like all over?
Nationwide. Amazon is making a big push. They are a big advocate now for legalizing marijuana nationally. But of course,
it's
I mean, I'm sure they want
to make the money, right?
Yeah, but they also are saying that it'd make it easier for them to hire. So, yeah, dude. So there's companies now that are having a tough time hiring people. They're even pulling drug testing. They're like, nah, fuck it, we're not even drug testing right now because
you shouldn't.
Because they just want to.
If it's
people,
legal in your state, even if it's legal medically, you should not drug test.
And that's the issue that I think Amazon's having right now. And they're going, we're never going to be able to fill our warehouse with employees if we're going to test for marijuana.
Right, dude. Disney, big company here in Florida, does not drug test, or at least didn't back in the day.
I'm trying to remember if I did when I was there.
No, you did not, bro.
Yeah, I don't think so.
And good thing, because think about it. Like they're hiring. Disney is a really good a really good example of a place that hires from all walks of life.
Yeah,
there's so many different types of jobs there. Anything from blue collar to white collar, right? So.
Scientists, everything in between.
Oh my God, bro! Everything. I mean, there's like, what the hell? They hire them botanists and you know what I mean, like horticulture, right? Like
mosquito experts.
Yeah, right.
Yep.
Everything, bro. Everything. So it's a really, when they say Disney World, it is really so almost like a self-contained world, and so in a world, right, you got a plethora of different jobs that those guys hire, and they don't drug test. And good thing for them, because you would be alienating a lot of potential employees.
25 to maybe probably 20 to 30% of your employees would be gone.
And that's across the spectrum. I'm talking about white collar, blue collar, whatever.
Yep. Listen, blue collar folks can't afford cocaine. They stick to weed.
Yeah, but back in the day, weed was illegal, right?
Yeah.
Now it is legal here now medically.
Medically, yeah. It'll eventually
be absolutely.
Way, I think, and nationwide. I think it should. I actually think it will. I think someone like Amazon backing this just makes it inevitable. Like they have so much pull and so much. Bro, I'm gonna be able to Amazon Prime order some blunts. That's gonna be fire. That's Let me get a little sativa strain.
That's too ghetto, bro. They're gonna give it to you in like a nice container and shit.
You probably right now, but there's gonna be like pre-rolled joints. You just know it. They're gonna have like Amazon pre-rolled joints, but Amazon Basics, and it's gonna be all the pre-rolled joints.
Dude, they got vitamins and fucking pills and everything, right?
We were just having a conversation, bro. I bought there's an allergy pill that I normally take. It's like I did Zyrtec, and I buy like 30 of these joints for like $22. I just bought Amazon's version of allergy pills. It literally says like Amazon allergy or some shit, bro. I got 300 pills for $11. That shit could be laced with fentanyl. I don't know.
Well, damn it, if they're gonna do that for weed, then let me vote for that,
bro. You about to get 700 joints for $6.99. That shit is crazy, bro. You know what's gonna happen, bro. Oh my god. Yeah, I was just gonna be dying when, like, you know how cigars have the little wrapper on it? Yeah. It's gonna be like Jeff Bezos' face on
a picture of his rocket.
Yeah. Yo, you make the cigar, the joint shaped like the rocket. Oh, how dope would that be, man? Oh my god, dude. Oh, that should be do it. While we're on the employee shortage, did you see the school bus? The thing from Massachusetts with the school bus?
No.
There's a class field trip popping to Massachusetts, and I guess you can't even get school bus drivers right now.
Oh yeah, even here.
Driving across the it's a problem.
Yep.
So school Massachusetts is going on a field trip.
Them badass kids, bro.
Yeah, don't nobody
want to drive that shit.
Yeah, fuck that. So this school in Massachusetts is going on a field trip, and they couldn't find bus drivers. So they hired this company that has party buses. It gets better. They put the kids on a party bus that had a stripper pole in it.
Have you ever seen one of those, bro? Back in the day, man, when I did my brother-in-law's like bachelor party, and we got one of them party buses, man. Those are dope.
Those are sick.
Yeah, they fit like 20 people in there, man, and yeah, it's cool. So they didn't hire the drivers. They hired the drivers with the vehicles.
Yeah, they hired the company and the company had the vehicle, right? So yeah, they needed both. I was dying.
I would have paid for the video for that,
bro. That shit. I go, yo, these kids got a field trip and a career day all in one.
What's this used for?
Yeah.
Or be like, hey Kim, get up on that pole right there.
That pole real quick. Take that for a spin. See how you feel. It's definitely in your future. Anybody named Stacy, step on up.
Kids got the ones out. Yeah. Fucking making it rain.
May I get up there, TikTok? Bro, you know there was a teacher in there that was like tempted to take that shit for a spin.
Dude, could you imagine if you have one of those like teachers that are kind of like prudes and they get in there and they see the stripper pole? You know how their reaction and then of course the kids start and then I would love to know, is this like an inner city school or is it like some like Catholic prep school or something? You know what I mean?
No, I have to go now. I have to pull the article, but it's a school in Boston. But Boston's pretty. It's kind of, I don't know. Boston.
It's
has
mixed.
Like a ghetto. Yeah, it's mixed, but
they got white ghettos.
Yeah, I'm about to find that. But yeah, dude, I'm like, dude, that's so good. I love this time. I could just picture my kids coming home too, like my daughter or my son being like, "Yeah, there's a pole in the middle,
right in the middle of the bus."
Yeah, right in the middle of the bus, and we all started swinging from it. Like they would just be like.
They told us that was just to hold on to in case of an emergency.
Yeah, Miss Smith did all this tricks. She said she uses it at her night job. I don't know what that
means. How we doing on time, bro?
Dude, we're just almost hitting an hour, man.
Oh, that's good, man. That's good. We doing good.
You said you saw the headline of the whole MJ Drake thing.
Oh yeah, talk about that.
Dude, we had to.
I just saw a headline.
Okay, so the headline was like, for those listening, like, there was this headline this week that was Drake just dropped an album about a week and a half ago or so, and the headline was, "Is Drake as big now as MJ was in his prime?" MJ being Michael Jackson.
Oh.
And I read that and I was like, this is just one of those examples of prisoner of the moment.
Right.
Like the recency bias. Cool, you are out of your fucking mind if you think that anyone ever will reach the level of celebrity of someone like a Michael Jackson.
You think no one ever, bro?
Ever, bro.
Yeah?
I don't think it's ever going to happen again. So I gave this a lot of thought. The reason why I think it's because we have access to people now.
Okay.
So social media has made it to where, like, I know what Drake's doing today, right? I know what he looks like. I know what he wears. I know he's accessible almost to me, right? As a fan, I feel like I get those updates. I get that breakdown. I get the stuff. MJ was running around
back then,
with a
you
fucking
didn't have it.
burqa, and he's like hanging his baby over a fucking balcony, and you're like, dude, MJ was making people cry at the sight of him. You know what I mean? Like, you ever see those videos of MJ walk, and he walks through like Japan, and people are like passing out, and so I don't think there's ever going to be anyone that famous again, dude. And it's not just Michael Jackson. I think he's like the most extreme example that I can think of.
But like the Beatles.
Yeah, like the Beatles had this level of fame at that time that I don't think will ever be reached. And I think it's because we have so much access to people now. Like Drake he's big. I think if Drake was obviously walking down the street, he couldn't, right? He couldn't just walk down the street without security and all this stuff. I don't know that people are passing out when they see Drake, or people are crying, or people are like, I've been waiting my whole life to save up to go see you, to like, because he's so accessible now, right? I can turn on my phone and go to Drake's Instagram page and then be like, oh, what the fuck's Drake doing today? And then he's telling me about he's making an album, and then he's doing 15 interviews, and then he's doing like, Michael Jackson very rarely did an interview. And then, very rarely did a commercial, and then fucking burn his hair off.
Right. So you're saying that because of the inaccessibility.
Yeah, the scarcity, I guess, of its presence.
So the demand is higher.
Yeah. It's like the supply-demand kind of thing, right? And I just don't know that we're ever going to see someone that famous ever again, man. Like, when Michael Jackson died, that shit was news, like...
It's a big deal, man.
That shit was OJ Bronco chase, right? Every news channel stops, pause, goes on there.
Not for nothing, man. He had, like a week or two of specials, which... Dude, it just reminded me of a thought. Gary Vee has this thing where he's always like, yo, go do that thing. Like, stop worrying about judgment and like, just go forward with whatever you got to do. And he goes, Michael Jackson, possibly the most famous human ever, got a week after he died of specials. And he's like, that's it. And then life moves on. It's
fucking true, bro.
And he goes,
and he'll be the last person to get that, bro.
Yeah, and he's like, so what are you worried about?
Yeah. The only other person that I could think of that reached his level of infamy was like Princess Diana.
Yeah.
That I could like think of, and, because I go, not even Prince was Michael Jackson famous. Prince was famous. He wasn't Michael Jackson famous. I thought about Michael Jordan. I go, Michael Jordan transcended sports, right? Like, your grandmother knew who Michael Jordan was.
Yep.
And was super famous at that time. But because Michael Jordan has lived long enough in this era now where we see the occasional video of him playing one-on-one with some kid in the Bahamas, yeah, you would freak out. Like, I think I would have a freak out if I saw Michael Jordan. I probably wouldn't have that from any celebs, but I don't think he's Michael Jackson famous. Like, I was going down the thing. I'm like, I can't think of anybody who would ever be as famous as Michael Jackson ever again. Like, good, bad, and different. Like, however you feel about Michael Jackson.
Yeah, I hate to say ever again because I always feel like records are made to be broken. But I mean, it's a good argument, right? Yeah, I don't know. Recently, man, did you watch the HBO The Shop?
I haven't seen any recent one. The last one I saw was the Tom Brady one. I think was the one I saw.
Okay, so the one after that. And the reason why I'm bringing it up is I saw a video recently. I think it was on Instagram. I don't remember where it was, but Michael Jackson was like pre-recording, so the camera's on, but it's not what got aired. Oh. And he's talking about touring, and he's like, I hate it. Like, I hate touring. Because you go to these cities, and he's like, and then like you go to this show, and you get like this massive high, and then like you don't sleep. And then you're on again the next day, and he's like, it's just this like horrible time, and then they go, Michael, you, like, for the special, like, we can't say that. And then so when they roll the camera, he goes, I love touring, and they also are laughing in the background, right? So laughing in the background, but he's just like, all right, man, like, you don't want the truth.
Let me play the part.
Then I fucking play the part in the shop.
But in today's world, that clip would have made it through, and then we would have felt like we knew Michael. We'd have been like, oh man, Michael doesn't really like touring, and it would have been the same. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
Yeah.
But you know what? Like in the latest episode of the shop, Carmelo Anthony's on there, and he goes basketball. He goes a lot of and at least NBA players he was referring to, but I would imagine that this would transcend to other sports. He was like, a lot of basketball players are depressed. He goes, you practice insane amount of hours, then you go to a game, and whether the game is, if it's a close game or whatever, he goes, you come back to your room or to your home, where depending on whether you're home or away, and you're on this high. He goes, even if you lost, you're on this high, and he goes, and you can't sleep. And it takes you forever to fall asleep. When you finally fall asleep, you have to get up early the next day because you have to go practice hard because the next game is the following day. And he goes, and you do this day in and day out, and you don't get a lot of sleep, and there's all this ton of pressure on you, and then you play really good for years because you keep pushing yourself, and then you begin to fall off, and then everybody goes, oh, he's finished. So you go from like this really high to like this low, and he goes, and then in between, everybody thinks you're on this high, and he goes, but meanwhile, you're like this sucks. Like it's good, but it sucks, right? Like you get this, you're playing in front of the crowds, you're doing great, and everybody's talking about you and whatever. But in the middle of everything, in order shit that we don't see, kind of going back to the Michael Jackson thing of him going, I hate touring, but all we see is the tour, and with the NBA players, all we see is the games, and so we'd have no idea like what's going on behind the scenes with these guys.
They got them there, dude. And we talk about this all the time on a smaller scale of like the chase, right? Where we've talked about something like what's enough, what's that chase, and I think it actually kind of feeds into that, where you're like, for these guys, the chase is and behind closed doors, right? And then unfortunately for them, the high, and for the common man, it could be like whether it's a job, whether it's school that you want to get a degree, whatever, right? Like that moment of validation comes so quickly, and then for these guys, you're there and you're seeking that validation, and then it just falls off.
Right.
The entire,
you get it, and it's what's next,
and then what's next, and then for us, I think you can apply that to like the normal folk, where you just go. The chase, and then once you accomplish whatever that goal was, and then you're up there in the validation,
it's not that big.
And then it almost, like you hear people say all the time, like the top is lonely, or getting there isn't as fun because staying there is harder than getting there.
Right.
And I think it's not so much that it's harder; it's just that you're allowed to do it behind closed doors, and when you have to do it under the microscope, or when you have to do it in front of the bright lights, or when it just adds another element of pressure of something that was already insanely difficult to pull off, right? It's like, like staying at the top's big. It's like, it probably requires the same amount of effort. The problem is that you've now just magnified, like you've added this element of doing it in front of people.
Right.
And it's just, and people are waiting for you to fail, because in either way, they're entertained. You do awesome, I'm entertained. You fall off, I get to have the conversation of you falling off as an athlete. Like,
yep.
And I think for us on a smaller scale, we get to wherever our goal is, and we almost do that to ourselves, where we go, well, fuck, what do I do next? What am I? I ain't shit. I just got to this, like that. And you almost set this next goal because you're your audience, right? Like,
yep. Or you get around, or once you reach that goal, you get around other people who have already reached that goal and have done so much more, and then you realize, and then you realize, oh, I ain't shit.
Yep. And it's never ending, dude. It's like one of the Gary Vee things I saw this week was something like that. It's like, it's interesting because like I can't remember what the quote was, but it's like, we it had something to do with like we somehow like we value people's opinions, but yet we do this other stuff that's like solo dolo, like the things that I want to find, because it's actually really good. And
he had a couple good things. He had a couple
of gems this week. I was like, man, Gary was on it, dude. He must have been his garage sailing, and he was thinking of all kinds of shit. Because it was.
Did you see the go-kart?
Oh yeah, dude, that shit looked awesome, dude. Oh, it's actually pretty awesome, man. Now I can't.
Yeah, I know it's hard. It's hard to find, man.
Yeah, it's hard because he drops 1,700 things a day. But yeah, it was something to do about like how we value other people, you know.
Other people's opinions, man.
Yeah, but then it was also like, the comparison was when it doesn't matter, like something that we do alone, and that's good enough. But then somehow we value other people's opinion, like it just doesn't add up.
I think all in all,
human
man,
nature, man.
Yeah, all in all, if you can enjoy the process, like that's the win.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
If you just go like that, if you enjoy the path there to wherever that destination is. Like, that's the win.
You think of all the greats, right? Like the Kobe's, right? The part you talk about Kobe, very rarely do they bring up a moment in the game. It's the you know, like the biblical almost work ethic,
right,
behind the scenes,
that
right?
blood,
Nobody
sweat, and
ever
tears
goes,
that
remember that
puts out.
time he, you know, hit that jumper with whatever. Dude, you talk about Kobe, it's like that.
As a matter of fact, I think who was it? Jay Will, the dude from you know, former Duke player,
Yeah.
went to the Bulls, had a motorcycle accident.
Yeah.
He tells a good story where he's like, he was gonna play them, and then he goes into the gym really early, like a few hours early, and Kobe's already there, and then he practices for a few hours, and then he was kind of sort of trying to outlast Kobe, but then it got really late, and he's like, well, fuck, I got a game tonight, and then he left. And then they play the Lakers. They get torched by the Lakers. And he goes to Kobe afterwards, and he's like, yo, man, like, how long did you practice for, man? Like, I practiced for a few hours. I thought I was doing good. Like, what do you do? And he goes, I was there. I wanted you to see that you were not going to be there earlier than me. You were not going to be there later than me. And so that in itself told you that you were not going to outwork me. And he goes, yo, that's the shit that like stuck with him.
Which is true, dude. And, yeah, and if you think about it, man, somebody like Carmelo Anthony, you know, isn't known for that work at, like, we don't
Right.
Carmelo, we don't think of
We
that.
don't think of that.
We don't think of that. Kobe's like, because it's so well known and so thing, he's one of those people where you just go, the work behind the scenes is almost, and he's the rare case where people go, you could almost do no wrong, because he was, you know, in some sense you could say he was an asshole, right, because of his work ethic, but it was so respected. The grind that he had was just so intense, and it was public, so to speak, I guess, because so many people have come out, that it's one of the few scenarios where we respect the like, you don't remember the shots he missed or the games where he took 47 shots and made 15 of them. Like, you just go,
right,
nah, the guy had a ridiculous work ethic. He's the rare exception to the, nah, man, this dude missed that. Like, dude, you think Nick Anderson, what's the first thing that comes to your head?
4 free throws.
Didn't perform in the pressure. Yep. That's exactly. And I think most of us live in that world.
Yeah.
Is what's the highlight reel like? And then we judge ourselves even based on what's the highlight reel. You know, like, well, what's my Sports Center top 10 gonna look like, you know, at the end of this run? And yeah, and there's very few people who get like a pass on that because of the behind the scenes work. And I wonder if Michael Jackson was one of those where he was just like, you know, to kind of take it full circle, where he goes like, yo, y'all don't see the shit that goes into this tour.
Right.
Y'all just see the dude that's out on stage moonwalking and fucking
Yep.
he-heeing and all this shit and, you know, whatever. Like, it's like, that's awesome, but I got to go live with me after that and live in this shit where I'm putting my body through this and I'm sleepless and I'm stuff.
And the rest of us are just going, when's the next show?
Yeah. Dude, I can totally see that, dude. There's no way you come off this high like that. You're not sleeping, dude. We've had, you know, I'd say even moments in just regular everyday work or something that's happening in your life, you know, whether it's with your kids or spouses or whatever, where like you're high off of that where you can't sleep.
Yep.
So can you imagine doing that to yourself over and over and over?
No,
and over?
I couldn't. And I think most of us couldn't. I think we just look at it from the outside and we go, oh yeah, like you're just performing, like go sing.
Dude, as someone who I've stepped on very, very, very small stages with very little people, nowhere near that shit is a shot of adrenaline.
Really?
Oh my God, dude. Like, there's people who tell you you're not nervous are full of shit. There's the nervousness, there's the adrenaline, that shit is an adrenaline shot, and you're just so high off of it, even if it's a bad experience. And then it's true, dude. It's hard to sleep after something like that, especially you do it late in the day, which is when most of these things occur. Like,
yep.
There's this like, like this just amped up feeling that you get because you almost have to get there to get that. And dude, it's not normal to walk out somewhere and people are just fucking staring at you and clapping. And so can you imagine if you're Michael Jackson and you walk into an arena full of 20,000 people and they're all fucking crying and clapping at you? Like, that shit is mind blowing to me. I've walked on a stage with like 20 people looking at me and I'm like, oh shit.
They're like, make me laugh.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and they stare at you like, all right, bro. Like, yeah, you better be good, motherfucker. this is my Thursday night.
Make me laugh, clown.
That shit took me back to that movie. Remember Problem Child?
Oh yeah, it was also on was it Wedding Crashers?
Yeah. With the kid's birthday.
When he's doing it's at the wedding when they're doing the balloons.
The balloon animals, yeah, that's right. And he sits at the kids' table and then he makes them. I started thinking about the Problem Child movie where there's some shit in there where the clown fucks with him. I can't remember the line, but it was something like that. Oh, it's so good, man.
All right, man.
Oh, fuck, man.
Where we at?
114, man. You got anything else?
I'm done.
You good, man?
I'm done.
All right, man. We good.
All right, man. Tell them where they can find us.
All right, man. Hey, thank you guys for supporting and listening. We are on every major streaming platform: Apple, Google, TuneIn, Spotify, Amazon, you name it. If we're not on something that you like to listen to, let us know. We'll put it on there. You can also find us at the Carbon Footprint Podcast on Instagram, the Carbon Footprint Podcast on YouTube, Carbon Footprint Podcast on TikTok, Facebook. So yeah, look for us, follow us, give us some suggestions, give us some feedback. Yeah, interact. It's been good, man. We appreciate you guys listening and always being patient with us.
Absolutely. And again, as always, thank you for listening, guys. And if you got any message from this week's episode, no regrets.
Yep, just go fucking do it.
Just go do it.
Yep. This one's for Shep, man.
This one's for Shep. Raise the glass.
Whew.
All right.
All right.
Peace.
Peace.